Hi, this is Rebecca from ChemKnits, and together with allfreeknitting.com, we are going to show you a tutorial on how to space dye yarn on the stove with food coloring. And the food coloring I'm going to use today are the neon colors from McCormick brand. In the pot we have about 3 cups of water, and for each cup of water I have added a tablespoon of white vinegar, which acts as the acid source for the yarn dyeing. As I've said before, the 4 components to dyeing yarn are yarn, color, heat, and acid. And so the heat will be coming from our stove today. So since we're going to space dye yarn, we're not going to be mixing the pot to have a single color. We're actually going to end up adding the dyes directly into the pot when the yarn is already in there. So when I start heating the pot, I'm going to actually first instead of pre-soaking the yarn, I'm going to go ahead and pre-soak the yarn in the pot where we're going to do the dyeing. And I'm choosing to do this because I want to have as little movement in the water when I add the dye, so that way we can try to get separation between the different colors. Okay, so I have our skein all the way in the pot, and I'm going to turn on the stove and wait for it to simmer. I'm going to have it at a low heat as to not burn the yarn. And I will be back when the dye bath is hot enough for us to start space dyeing. Okay, the dye bath is simmering, and I'm going to turn off the stove to let the bubbles quiet down because I want to have as little movement in the pot as possible. I am also going to just gently move the strands of the skein together, so that way maybe I'll be able to have some kind of pattern repeat. Okay, and so now that there is little movement, I am going to be adding food coloring directly to the pot. Now I think I don't want to add a ton of food coloring because the dye in here is already saturated. So if you want to add more colors, then what you can do is start with if you want to add more colors, then you can start by diluting the dye somewhat. But I'm going to start adding some drops. I'm going to add a drop of neon blue, a drop of neon purple, and 2 drops of neon pink. Those came out fast. And so you can see how the blue one is already slowly starting to spread, but is really staying in that one general area. So I'm going to add a couple more drops. I'm going to add one more blue over here, pink over here. Oh, as I drop eyedroppers. Uh-oh, I shook the pot a little. And in that corner, I'm going to add one more purple. And so we can see that the dyes are starting to come out and come into the center of the dye bath slowly. But we're just going to let this sit, and slowly the dyes will absorb to the wool, and the areas where the dye started will probably have the most of that color. But here come some waves. You can kind of see there's waves of purple that are coming out and are moving towards where there's still some white spots. So I am going to leave this here and let it sit for a bit until I think that the yarn is done dyeing. Alright, all the dye has absorbed to the yarn, and you can see even before I take it out that we do have multicolored yarn. So I've let it cool enough so that I can comfortably just reach in and pull out the skein, and we are going to take it over to the sink to wash it. And so what I have here is just a container with some lukewarm water, and it has a tiny bit of dish soap in it. And so we're just going to rinse the yarn until any water that we rinse it with starts to run clear. And after I have washed the yarn, I will come back and show you our finished multicolored skein that we made from space dyeing. And here is our final skein of yarn. And it's very beautiful. You won't get any kind of regular striping pattern with it, but the way the colors have molded together and have combined is really beautiful. So thank you for watching this tutorial on space dyeing. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and this video was brought to you by allfreeknitting.com.